Hey cadets, today I'm going to talk to you about sewing, actually stitching something on using a needle. And so if you need any help, there's a chart right here. First we need to cut thread about this long and then ask Mrs. Ortner for a needle. So you're going to come up to me and you're going to already have your thread cut. If you need help, you're going to use one of these large sewing scissors that are found over here in the drawer, because sometimes the little scissors don't actually cut this thread. So when you come up to me, you're going to show me what you're going to be sewing on, and you're going to have your thread already. Then once you have your needle, you're going to hold the needle, usually in your right hand if you're right-handed, pinch the end of your thread in your left hand, holding it about this long, just a little sliver, okay? This long is not going to go in there, just barely peeking out. You're going to hold that and wiggle this part over as you push it through. So one more time, barely sneaking out, over, and pushing through. I'm going to pull this to the middle, and then it says, after I pull it to the middle, to grab the two ends. So I'm going to come back, I'm grabbing the two ends together, lining them up, and they're going to go around two fingers. So again, I'm holding it in my right hand, holding those ends around the world. I'm going to make the world's tiniest X. I'm going to pick up the X and pull those two ends through, so I have a knot. One more time. Holding both ends in my right hand, around the world, making a tiny X. Under and through, push those little ends through. Pull this all the way over to the end. Okay? I want you to try that. Follow the directions, try that before you come and ask Ms. Ortner to help. Once you're ready to sew and you have your piece, this is burlap. This has large holes. I can use this nice big plastic needle. I'm going to pull until that knot sticks on the back side like this. Okay? Once my knot is on the back side, then I'm going to stitch just a tiny distance away. I just put my needle down. This gets frustrating because I need to pull this flat again, and then this loop can come, and I'm going to pull that so it makes a nice line. I'm going to come back up, and then I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to stitch it across. I'm going to try and make sure that both of these loops that are peeking through are kind of the same size so that it looks like a nice dotted line. Okay? Then I can put things on like large beads with holes in them. I can go through. The beads are not going to fit all of them onto this big needle. So you got to find a bead that will actually fit. Do not go pick out your beads until you're actually got used to stitching if you want to do something with a bead. Okay? I can change directions. I can put it at the end. What you're going to do is you're going to sneak it through the back. So this is my front. Let's say I'm running out of thread. I don't have that much left. Okay, I'm not actually, so I'm actually going to just go really quick for you guys until it gets to a point. You're going to go to the back side when I have plenty of thread left, or I'm not able to sneak it back through. On the back side, I'm going to go underneath one of my other stitches I already did. Then once I have this little loop, I'm going to swim through my loop, and I'm going to go find my X. Here's my X that I made, and I'm going to go stick it through that X. I'm going to pull tight, and then that's my knot. Now I can cut this, and my needle is ready to give back to Mrs. Ortner. This little piece of extra string can get thrown away, or there is a bucket of extra string on the floor that has lots of different strings that are already cut. You guys can use for other things. Okay? If you want to do something more on the plastic canvas, the large plastic needles don't fit in there. Oops. Fell on the floor. So I'm going to need to ask Mrs. Ortner for a blunt needle. The blunt needles are in here. They are not sharp like a doctor's needle. They are just blunt. They just have kind of a rounded-ish edge. That's going to fit through my plastic canvas. The plastic canvas can get cut into any shape, this kind of cloud. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make sure I'm pulling and that I have left plenty of space so that this long end just dangles over the side still. If you're pulling really tight and you cut really close, it's going to disappear back into my box. Okay, so again, I'm looking at my thing. I'm going to thread the needle by poking just a tiny sliver. Then I'm going to use this in my right hand, and I'm going to slide it through what we call the eye of the needle. Work it through by wiggling it up and down, and then pulling all of those through. Mine is starting to bunch up, so I did not get all the ends through. What you can do is you can take it back out, can cut that area off. I'm just going to roll it back up in my fingers. Takes Mrs. Ortner even a couple of tries. I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to go over that again. There, I got all of them through this time. I'm going to pull it to the middle, all the way to the middle, and line up my two ends. Hold it in my right hand with both around the world, world's smallest X. Push it back up through both of those. When I have my pretzel made, I'm going to slide that pretzel to the end to make a knot. Same thing, I want to do around the edge of this, so I am actually going to use what we call a whip stitch. So I am going around and around. So I'm always going from the bottom and poking through. Always going through the bottom, poking through. Always going to the bottom, poking through. Always poking up. And then I get this really nice edge all the way around, so that it's called the whip stitch, because you're whipping it from the bottom back up to the top. And it kind of hides all those cut edges. I like the whip stitch for the edges. It's a cool stitch. Okay, same thing with this one. When I get to the end of my thread, I'm going to look for a thing to go underneath. And then when I have this loop, I can go back through this loop, pull tight, cut this part off, give my needle back to Mrs. Ortner, and then I can put this string in the extra string box. Okay, projects can get stored in your bin or in the folder. Either one is fine depending on how big it is. Definitely put your name on them. All right, take a picture and then you're ready to go.